Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Q&A podcast on Inside the Birds platform, YouTube channel. I'm Jason Avant. I'm here with my main man, Quintin Mikell. Q, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Back at it again.
Let's go. Birds improved to 8-0. You're still the only undefeated team in the National Football League. Didn't come the way that we wanted it this week. We wanted a much larger lopsided victory, very close in the first three quarters. Eagles pull away late in that third quarter. Q, before we get into the game, just wanted to say thank you to everyone that's joining us each and every week. People are sending me questions and topics of discussion that we've talked about in the past on social media. Make sure you follow us: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Also, make sure you listen to this podcast: Amazon, Apple Music, YouTube channel. Also, to everyone that want to be a part of the show and send your questions in, send them to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Again, insidethebirds@gmail.com. Thank you to Adam and Jeff and Josh and Tyler and everyone that is making this show possible. And lastly, to the fans, thank you guys again. All right, Q, let's get this party on the roll, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, man. So coming off the long layoff, the Eagles have 11 days off, between the Houston game, which was last Thursday, and the Washington game. So in your mind, how beneficial is this quote unquote mini bye, this long layoff for the Eagles?
We just came off a bye week. I think, you get a chance to see some of your family and just disconnect from football a little bit more. But I don't necessarily think that it's extremely beneficial just because we just came off a bye. I hate it when this happens, actually, where it's so close. You want this game to be, 5 weeks, 6 weeks from the bye and not necessarily right now. So I know the Eagles, they're enjoying it because the weather is nice here in Philadelphia, but at the same time, you want this later on in the season so you can get that mini bye a little bit later. But I don't think that there is much advantage of rest and body-wise. But I will say, well, I guess for Jordan Davis, guys to get back a little bit quicker. But when it comes to game planning, you do get a second bye week. So now we get a lot of time to focus on the Washington Commanders that are coming in here. So I think that those are the benefits to it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you on there. You kind of get cheated a little bit when you get that bye week, and then you get another mini bye week. So you kind of lose that benefits of getting that time away. It's almost like at this point you don't even need it. So I'm sure a lot of the guys that probably went on vacation and went away last week, they're probably sticking around the facility a little bit more, probably doing a little extra studying and getting their bodies right. So I agree with you there, man. And let's I think, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but I think the Houston Texans, as bad as their record is, I think they exposed a few things against this team, which can help moving forward. So, it's kind of a gift and a curse in the sense that as a player, you wish you could have like two like legitimate bye weeks. But, as a coach, I think it's an opportunity to say, okay, we had a tough one. We got out of there. We got lucky, not lucky, but we had the fight to get out of there. Now let's really go back to work. So this will be interesting, and I think it'll prove that beneficial in some way down the road.
Yeah.
All right. So moving along, the Birds, man, they don't play another winning team for the next 3 weeks. They have Washington. They have the Colts, who we'll talk about that in a second if we want to. With they just fired Frank Wright today, and then they have Green Bay, who's kind of spiraling out of control. Is it reasonable to expect this team to be 11-0 after the next 3 games?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think, and we said this, I don't think that our team will lose a game until probably around that Green Bay Tennessee time. I think I said that. I said it would probably be the
Yeah.
Titans, and the Titans have been playing well. You saw how well they played Kansas City yesterday, so they're playing really good football, and they have one of the best interior defensive linemen in all of football in Jeffrey Simmons, right? So I think it'll be there where we get one of our tests this season. But to be honest, we haven't had many tests this season yet. And I think the overall quality of football in the National Football League this year is just bad. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that trying to diminish the Eagles at all, because the Eagles are taking advantage of their opportunities just like everyone else. Green Bay is playing bad teams too, and Green Bay is looking like one of the worst teams in the National Football League. So I think the Eagles will be 11-0, or going into that Tennessee game. And I think that Tennessee game will be a tremendous test for us. And then once we start getting into more of the conference play with the Giants and the Cowboys, those would be some tests as well. But this Eagles team has a legit chance, if they really wanted it to be an undefeated team with the schedule that we're facing.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
But I don't know if that's a good thing, man. I saw something on Instagram the other day, and it was showing all the teams that had undefeated seasons through, I think, week 8. Like, a lot of them ended up either losing in the first round of the playoffs or the divisional round. A couple went to the Super Bowl and lost. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing to be undefeated at this point.
Well, I forget history and forget what the previous
The
100 teams
statistics.
did. Forget that. You want to go down and be the best team in Eagles history. And if you get an opportunity to be sitting there at 16-0, go for it for 17-0. And I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, that game doesn't mean anything." Yes, it does, because you want to become the best team in Eagles history. You want that first round bye. You want everyone coming into Philadelphia, which is a totally different place to play in December or January. It's a totally different place to play. So you want that. And just think of the teams that will be in there with you, the Seattles and the 49ers, and they have to take a West Coast trip over here. Like, you don't want to do that, So we want this, or even Tampa or someone like that has to come down south from the warm up into the cold. Like, you want that. So I think that if you get that opportunity, you go for it, baby. Go for it.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. Topic 2, Eagles 29-17. I said it. Game is a lot closer than what we anticipated. And you said something like perfect. Like, they exposed some things, and we're going to talk about it tonight. And we're not going to talk about it. And when we're talking about this, we're not being, Debbie Downers. We're just talking about the realistic nature of this game and how other teams can come in and exploit the same weaknesses, because these weaknesses have been there this entire season. And finally, someone got a chance to exploit some of those weaknesses. A game was closer than we expected. Birds were 14-point favorites. Huge game out of Dallas Goedert versus the Houston cover 2 defense. Also appeared as if Lovey blitzed a little more than usual, right? So let's talk about Dallas Goedert's game. Dallas, this game with 8 catches for 100 yards on 9 targets. Talking about a super efficient player this game. Now, there's a few people on Inside the Birds pregame show that picked Dallas Goedert. I don't want to mention them. They may have been right. They may have not been right as the standout player of the game. I had Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders had 17 for 93. I guess so. So I guess Dallas had a better game. So I guess I'm wrong this time. I don't like being wrong, Q. All right.
You're still right, though. I mean, they both had solid, very good games. So,
but offensively, Dallas had a really good game. You want to speak to that?
Yeah. Essentially when you're playing a cover 2 team, and I do think the Texans did a very good job changing up their coverages. They didn't play
as much as and we anticipated.
Right, they did, and they played a lot more single high.
Yeah.
And they did some cool things, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think that they did a good job, kind of scouting this team, the Eagles team, the offense, and changing up the coverages. And in games like this, when things aren't necessarily going how you plan, as a good quarterback, the best quarterbacks, they find and they work the middle of the field. They find their sure-handed, big, strong targets. And, Dallas is one of the best in the league at that in terms of working through the middle, working on the outside routes, giving Jalen a nice big backboard to catch the ball, and then making something out of it. So, I think that, when things weren't going well early and they had to adjust, Dallas was Johnny on spot to really, take over the game and get the ball, to get the chains moving a little bit.
To me, I just think it's growth and development, Dallas Goedert, because I always view Dallas Goedert as a great talent that lacked the awareness for the game. And when you can perform like this in zone coverage and find windows and understand how to set up routes, he had a corner route. Matter of fact, they hit 2 corner routes against cover 2 with Jalen Hurts. And the way that he set up the route by stemming outside, making the guy jump outside so he can get up, and then had a free lane. The corner couldn't get there in time, right? So there were certain things that he was doing that just understood like the tactfulness of the game, which I appreciated. And you know what else I appreciated? Remember, Jalen Hurts before this season was not known to be a guy that passed the ball over the middle. Remember, in the offseason, we would do the heat chart of where he was throwing the ball, and it was always outside of the numbers. It wasn't in the middle of the field. Talk about graduation, growth, and development from Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is hitting every part of the field now, and he's being effective over the middle. And that's a very good sign for all of us, because he's getting more comfortable with throwing the ball in spaces, and he's understanding where defenders are, which is only good for our football team in our city. That's the only way you're going to be able to win in this league. You can't win focusing so much on outside the numbers, because if they cloud that, they can take it away. You cloud it like Lovie Smith did. Now you got to understand what coverage is, and you can still get guys the ball. And I thought he did it at a very high level, an effective level this past week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other part of that, Dallas, the Dallas, 8 for 100. I think there's going to be games, because our goal is to get AJ Brown in football. There's going to be games where AJ Brown and Devontae Smith have tough matchups. I don't think that there's going to be too many matchups that Dallas Goedert is going to have a tough matchup. It's just not many safeties that can cover a guy that big and fast. It's not many linebackers that can cover a guy that big and that fast. So and then when you consider, like, even in the Super Bowl, or if Buffalo's there, they can match up, but they got hurt people, So like that's a very, very tough matchup for anyone. And I'm glad that they use him with the volume and the targets, because we haven't seen him get this many targets. And this dude is averaging 13 yards a catch for a tight end. That's pretty good. Tight ends are usually like in a 10, 9. Somewhere in there. Like when Hurts was here, he is in that 9, 10 range. 13, that's extra 3 yards per catch. So that's really, really good. And he's effective in the screen game. So I love Dallas Scott.
And to me too, and I'm gonna add to that with Dallas. One of the most difficult things about a guy like him is, first of all, they line him up everywhere. They split him out. They put him in 3-point stances. They have him, run the screen. So he's a player that can do so much. Right, he can block, he can catch screens and run, he can run after the catch, he can go down the field, and he's a lot like Kelce in a lot of ways in terms of his ability to run routes and get out in the open field. But his blocking ability, because a lot of times if you see, like, for instance, if I'm game planning and I see Travis Kelce line up in the 3-point stance as a defender, I'm like, I know he's not down in the block, so I'm playing pass all day on Kelce wherever he's at. So, something that I really like about Dallas is his ability to be able to do everything. And so you can't really get a key on what he's going to do every single play. It's hard to get a key and to really lock him down and to figure him out, because he can do so many good things well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I agree that he blocks, one of the best blockers in the league as far as tight ends is concerned. Route running, I believe, is great. I think that he uses a lot of quickness, and he's fast, long. I don't know if he has the patience at the line of scrimmage as Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is is
Yeah.
is I don't know, the best two route running tight ends I probably ever seen is Travis Kelce and Antonio Gates.
Oh,
Those, those
yes,
those are the two best I've ever seen that tight end. Like as far as running routes, those two dudes are far and above anybody else that's ever played this game when it comes to route running.
by far.
Yeah.
Do you remember when
Yeah.
Gates did when he did to Champ Bailey on the sideline?
Oh my gosh.
And Champ, my son, my youngest son is named after him, so he's one of my favorite players.
Oh man, he broke down your hero. Antonio Gates' bad body self was amazing.
All right, he's a beast, man.
He was.
All right, but you right on that. All right, so let's see where we at now.
Another step forward, yeah.
So Hurts, 20, 21 for 27, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's another big step for him, man. He's moving up and he's developing into what we all hoped and what we all thought that he could be. And to me, I think that this last game was kind of a testament to his growth because you could see early on the game plan wasn't there. You could see that they were taking away, they were taking away AJ, they were taking away Devontae, they were taking away his weapons. And there were times in that game where he just found a way to make a play. He just found a way, to find the open man. He just found a way to overcome. And to me, this game is as much as important as any game because of what he was able to, achieve and honestly, in kind of, not the best of, not the ideal situation. So, what do you think about, Hurts right now and how he's going
Well,
about?
let's think about it, right? So that's another two touchdowns for him coming off a game where he had four touchdowns before the bye, right? So he had four touchdowns, come back with another two touchdowns, no interceptions in that time. So he has 12 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. He has 12. And then he has two interceptions, and six running touchdowns. So he's on pace to have a really, really good season where,
Yeah.
he's at 24, 25 passing touchdowns. That's unbelievable. That'll be up almost 10 touchdowns from last year because he had 16, right? So
Wow.
you consider that his growth and development is clearly seen if these numbers continue to project over the remaining 9 games. So if these numbers continue to stay true, we're looking at a 24 to 26, somewhere in there, passing touchdowns and four interceptions, right? So that turnover ratio is winning football games, right? And you add on another 6 or so touchdowns to that running, right? So you're looking at a guy that's over 30 touchdowns accumulated, right? Or to combine. So I think that he's playing at extremely high level. And I like that he's not putting the ball in harm's way. Even when he's throwing 50-50 balls, they're in a position where guys can make a play. So I did think that he missed a few easy ones early, but that's kind of expected coming off a bye week and him. I thought he short armed his two first throws down the field. One to AJ Brown on a whole shot in cover two.
Oh yeah.
And then one on a Detroit route that's across the field and come back to Dallas Goedert. Those are two pretty easy throws that he missed early in the game, which could have changed the outcome because, early in that game, you hit those plays, it kind of like, makes the Texans realize like, oh, this is a different juggernaut. But they still, I'm talking about very, very minor critiques. I think he's playing extremely well. So
Nice.
doing great. He's doing great.
Take it.
Yeah. Big game for Miles, 17 rushes for 93 yards, making compelling argument to be re-signed. There's always talks this past week, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. There's one more,
Kareem Hunt. I heard that.
Kareem Hunt. Yeah, that they're trying to bring in. Is Miles making a case saying like, dude, we don't need them dudes. I'm what you need. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, 17 for 93. I've yet to see him really when he's getting the ball consistently. I've yet to see him have a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
And the two biggest things, the two biggest question marks, are injury. Injury, is he injury proof? And so far he's been, knock on wood, he's been doing well. He's been producing. He's always been a big play threat. And so, it looks like he's answering that. And the other question was, can he hold on to the football? And, so far so good there. So he's
Yeah,
definitely making a compelling argument to, be
be
re-signed.
resigned.
And obviously that all comes down to how much how much he's won.
How much
But
money?
give me that money.
Yeah, I don't know how much the market will be. How much people are going to give a running back
Yeah,
unless he's Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara that can do everything out of the back. Kareem Hunt can do everything. Can Miles do everything?
that's it. Can he catch the ball out of the backfield consistently? What do you
And then
think?
and then you got to pay Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
Like you're gonna have to pay. You gotta pay. Start paying these dudes now.
yeah. Devontae will be up in a couple of years.
Yeah, Devontae be up in a couple years. There's definitely some things to consider. Garner Johnson's going to be up this year. Epps, there's a bunch of guys up.
You can get a home team discount, you think?
Nah,
Come
the boy
on.
want his money.
I don't blame him,
I
man.
don't necessarily know what the market would be like, but I don't go too far on that. But he's playing really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So this is gonna be cool because I want you to be able, because I think you'll be able to give a better understanding of this. So the O line had a little bit of confusion. My gave up a couple sacks, especially in the series to start the second half. Nick Sirianni, he took the blame for the calls and he said that the read didn't match the blocking scheme. Can can you give me an idea? Because I think I have a feeling of what was going on, but let me
He
know.
said the read.
I said the read didn't match the blocking scheme.
Oh yeah. Yes. So whenever a play is called, and we're talking about the formation or the how plays are formulated, right? So the coaches may want a passing concept, right? And
Mhm.
the passing concept is explained. All right, this is going to be a 5-step drop, whatever, or
Mhm.
they'll explain out this I want this guy to do this, and so on and so forth. The offensive line coach, the one that makes the protections or has the list of protections, looks at the play, what needs to be done, the timing of the play, and say, based on what we're doing this week and what this defense does, this protection is good for this.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how that
Gotcha.
works, right? So we can have the same play, but that play may have 5 different protections based on the team we play.
Okay.
Okay, because
Makes sense.
we need to pick it up. So when you hear a coach that says that the read didn't match the blocking scheme, or basically it wasn't sufficient for that particular defense, that could have been a mess up when it came to the type of protection that play needed for this particular team,
Yeah.
right? And that can vary based on game plan too, or the unscouted look. So if they did something different because they scout too and said we're
Yeah.
going to come up in a different front this week, and now your protection that you were expecting of some type of 50 front is different now because they got 4 down linemen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like it changes, and you got to make that change on the sideline, and that's what
Gotcha.
it's saying. But all in all, let's think about this. I'm not giving that an excuse. The coach is going to fall on the sword. You won. Coach is going. Jordan Mailata was laid out of his stance on both of those plays.
Yep.
Jerry Hughes does an extremely good job of bending and lowering his shoulder. So you put those two things together, Mailata or whoever it was, it being on the road and them being on silent count, he was an entire step behind on both of those plays. Hughes was around him before Heaven got the news, right? It was so quick. And there was a few times where there was frustration between the guard and the center, because usually on silent count, the guard usually taps. The guard wasn't tapping every time. If you looked at the TV copy, he wasn't tapping every time. So there was confusion between Kelce and the right guard as well. So that could have been crowd noise, could have been, a bye week low, not being on the road in a couple weeks. Those types of things could have occurred. But Jordan Mailata is good enough to block Jerry Hughes. I don't doubt that. I just think that he was late off the ball, and then Jerry Hughes was already in his bin by the time he got back, and you can't do anything with that, right? Yeah. He's already even with you, and then he's 2 feet off the ground. It's tough for a dude that's 3 feet off the ground, and the guy's 6'8". It was just too much. So that's what happened on the play from my standpoint.
Okay. I was wondering too about the because there was a couple times where it looked like the snap was coming and Jalen wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
There was one on the sack where it looks like he was getting ready to change the play, and then the snap came. So I was interested in that you brought that up with the guard tapping center right there.
Yeah. So like sometimes you can go into a road game. You can go into a road game, and the Eagles were represented pretty good in Houston. Sometimes you go in a road game and you get control of the game. You don't have to go in silent count because the crowd is dejected. They're not in the game, and there's not much noise. You can call regular cadence. And then there's other times which earlier in that game, the crowd is going to be in it because they're playing well. They started out 7-0. You know what I mean? So they're into the game. They're being loud. So people hear stuff, especially offensive linemen. I don't understand what the offensive linemen hear. On the road, people, it's just different. And I'm just glad that ball was right in Jalen Hurts' chest when he threw it, because sometimes Kelce can be a little bit erratic with the snap sometimes.
That could have been bad for sure.
Yeah. All right, Javon Hargrave. Let's talk about that. Javon Hargrave blamed his turf toe, cost him almost all of camp for his slow start. 3 sacks versus Houston, 5 in the last 2 games. How tough is turf toe on the body?
As a D back, I would tell you turf toe can be pretty serious. As a D lineman, that's 300 plus pounds. It's probably damn near debilitating. I mean, and the way that Javon was moving in that game, the way he was working that rookie, I could see for him specifically why having turf toe would be a big problem, to be that big and that quick and that agile and, the foot movement. So I think, it depends on each person, depends on their body style. For a defensive back, for someone like me, it'd be very, very tough to play with turf toe. For someone that big and that agile, I think it probably was even worse for a guy like that. So, I know he probably was legitimately struggling.
This dude is a special pass rusher from the inside.
Oh my God.
And that's the one thing I will say. Like, I don't necessarily know about his double teaming and run blocking. I mean, sustaining gaps in the run game. I don't know about all of that. But when it comes to rushing the passer, this dude can do it, and he can do it at a high level. And that's scary if we get into situations where we are in control of football games with the people that we can put out there. That starts to get really, really, really scary, because this dude can get after the passer. It's crazy. He's super quick, and don't let him have an advantage with his strength. You got no shot like he did this week. If he got an advantage with this strength, you got no shot, because he's too quick and too good with his hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he was stronger than the guy this week.
He was tossing them dudes around, man. I felt bad for the rookie for a little bit. Like, man, that's a rough day.
You're not supposed to be honest. Them folk be out
Cold
here.
game.
Yeah, don't send them out here with the killers.
Oh man.
Let's go over some of the low lights.
Mm.
Let's talk about your side of the ball. The defensive backs look like they forgot how to tackle over the break.
Man, it's
Now, Dameon Pierce is a good player. He runs through a lot of tackles, but I don't necessarily know if Dameon Pierce is 140 yards worth of good against one of the best defenses in the National Football League. Now, again, we didn't have Jordan Davis, but before Jordan Davis, we were still 15th in the league in rushing, right? So we still give up 114 yards a game, but this team played extremely well against us in the run, had over 160 plus yards rushing. Talk about this. I saw guys turning down tackles, turning down opportunities, and I don't like to say that because these are my boys. I want them to do better, but you can't turn down tackles in the National Football League, and this is one of those things that can be exploited because this can be a game plan where we take care of the guys up front and we just leave the safeties to leave them free.
Yeah.
Leave the overhang free. If it's a nickel, we're not even worrying about them.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. That right there, you hit the nail on the head. And like we were saying earlier, some stuff was exposed. The Titans, I'm sure the Titans knew the game probably wasn't going to go the way that they wanted it to. They said, I'm sorry, the Texans, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You see what's on my mind. Pep Hamilton, who, when he was at Stanford with Luck, I think he was in San Francisco as well when he was in the pros for a little bit. Now he's with the Texans. Came out 12 personnel, a couple times 13 personnel, a couple times 20. I think I saw 22 personnel. So I'm sure everybody. I don't want to have to get too deep into what that means. It just means basically there's a lot of big guys on the field, and there was a lot of less speed on the field, right? So that basically said to me, the game plan is we're just going to come out and we're going to block you up and we're going to run you over. We feel like if we get to the second level, your secondary guys are not going to come up and be physical. They're not going to come up and tackle well. It's been proven, I think, all year that the secondary does have to do a better job tackling. And I'm not talking about you got to come up and just smack somebody and, like Brian Dawkins or Ronnie Lott. Just get them on the ground, right? Yeah. Don't come up there just flying up, closing your eyes and just flying up and hoping that you hit something. You come up and make a short tackle. And so that was for me, that was the saddest part, is that this team is right there at the cusp. And the one thing we've kind of been hitting at it all year, they've got to do a better job tackling. They've got to do a better job being more physical, because the further they go, they're going to face teams. They're going to say, okay, we know we can't pass with you guys. We know we can't drop back. Your front four is ridiculous. Your front five is ridiculous. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to shorten the game. We're going to bring our big boys in, and we're going to try to run you over and see if you can stop us there. And that's exactly what the Texans came out and tried to do. And, the Eagles were very lucky it didn't, cost them a win this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got to play for us to show?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Let's see. This is my first time doing this, everyone, so bear with me a little bit.
Yep, hit that share screen button at the bottom.
There we go.
Yep.
All right. Let me maximize right here. Okay. So here's what we're talking about, okay? Texans are in shotgun. They're in 12 personnel. This is two tight ends right here. This is a receiver and another receiver. This, by the way, I was trying to see. It's hard to see on my screen. This may be a running back. I don't know what that number is.
No, I think that's Chris. I think that's Chris Moore. But go ahead.
And so now, all year, the Eagles have kind of been going back and forth between the 50 front and the 40 front. And all that simply means is that you got 5 down linemen, okay? Usually when they're in the 50 front, there's another linebacker. For some reason, the defense gets caught. I don't know if Gannon called it this way, but they are in a nickel defense, meaning they have 5 defensive backs. Here's Slay, here's Bradbury, here's CJ, here's Epps, and here is Avonte Maddox. You have 5 D linemen down. You have TJ Edwards here. You have one back. Now, usually you're okay in this, especially when the front forward does well. But what can't happen is that these guys cannot get one-on-one block doubled, and then the line gets to the second level into this linebacker, because now you have one guy in the middle of the field that cannot make a play, and then you got a big, strong running back like this running on your secondary. So I'm going to play it a little bit. Hopefully this works. Okay. Boom. Okay. We have a puller right here. Now that we have a lane created. Okay. So what happens now is something that can't happen. If you watch this lineman right here, he double teams here, and then he climbs up on TJ. And now we have a lane right here, and now you have a big, fast, strong running back running on your star cornerback, and safety's about 10, 15 yards deep. Boom. Okay. And the rest is history, right? He's breaking through tackles. All right. So what I think needs to be done better on this, first of all, I think if you're going to go into a 50 front, and I don't want to tell coach what to do. I don't know. I'm not in their meetings, but if you're going to be in a 50 front, you have to make sure that you get some better run stoppers up there. Cause I don't think Avonte Maddox is really there to do that. He's there to cover.
Oh, you let my man CJC.
I let him off the hook a little bit.
Throw that chicken wing in there. You ain't call him out on that chicken wing. He could have got the man down. Everybody in Philadelphia seen that chicken wing that he threw at that big old dude.
Man, he still knew. He still knew.
Man,
right?
that dude got 5 picks. He ate that chicken wing up. It was like, man, if you don't stop with that. He reminded me of Harlem Nights when everybody was shooting them big old guns, and he gonna come out there talking about some pa. Quick, I'm gonna kill you quick. Pa. That's what he was doing. That's what that play was right there. That was Harlem Nights all over and over again. All right.
Oh man, but I just just stuff like that. We can't have that happen. And go ahead. I'm gonna cut you off.
Listen, I'm gonna go as well, right? So if I can, I'm gonna get you a play that's up and loaded. Now, this situation is 2nd and 7. I'm pretty sure everyone can see my screen.
You can see it.
It's 2nd and 7 here. We are, at the 50-yard line or so. Let's start get this played. Now, look, here is Garner Johnson here, right? He's in this position. He's a 4 safety. He's in here for a particular reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. This ball is coming right at him.
Oh, man.
He's here. He's not making moves. He's not in a rush. The running back has the ball already. You have to go and make this guy go this direction, or go and try to hit it, right? You don't want this space. I need to get to the line of scrimmage because I need to tackle him in this booth before there's a hole that's open. Hold on. Let's go back. I'm going to go back because, I wish I had the best film right here. But I'm going to go back. Let me pause it. Boom.
Oof. Yeah, that was.
Go make it. Go. What's going on?
Oof.
Can you hear me? This is the National Football League. Go shoot. Why are you still on your feet? What's happening? And look, the man is playing great in the secondary when it comes to pass defense, playing outstanding. And for the people that are listening to this, This play is a play where Garner Johnson has an opportunity to make a tackle right at the line of scrimmage. He's being a little bit passive. There's an opportunity for him to go make a tackle right in the hole. He doesn't go make the tackle. The guy runs up the field for another 25, 30 yards because he was a little timid in this situation. Like I said, he's great against the pass, catching some amazing picks. The one he made against Dallas was great. This one he made last week is great. We don't have a problem covering. We the number one coverage team in the National Football League. Get the most PBUs in the National Football League. One of the most interceptions in the National Football League, if not the highest. We got to make tackles, and we got to be willing to tackle. This is just not a Garner Johnson thing. Let me back out of here. This is just not a Garner Johnson thing. This was an entire secondary team thing the entire game. There's times with Slay, the play that you showed, Slay waited there to be blocked by somebody. Like those are things that you can't do. Like you got to go make a play. There's times where, usually Epps is on it. Epps missed a lot of tackles this week. And a lot of guys, you're going to miss a lot of tackles. You sit there trying to dive at somebody's legs. You got to go put your body in front. And we can't be reluctant to do that. And that's what it seems like to me. When you got plays like that to be made and you just go next to a guy and the guy shoots out. I didn't play the end of that play, but that guy runs for another 20 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you how that gets fixed. It gets fixed in the film room when the team is watching it together, right? When the linebackers are doing what they're supposed to do, and they're sending the block back, they're sending the running back to the open gap. When the D lineman is getting off the ball and they're getting their hands on the lineman and they're working their tails off, when they know they want to rush every play, they do what they have to do on first and second down to make sure that they can get to the rush downs, right? That's where it gets fixed. When you're in that room and you're looking across and everybody else on that field did their job and did what they're supposed to do, and that comes on the film, and you see yourself go through that hole like you're supposed to do, just like Coach told you, and you turn down that play, that peer pressure starts to kick in, right? You start looking around like, damn, man, I hope they don't say nothing.
Yeah.
That's where it starts to kick in. So this is an opportunity at a critical point in this season because, it's going to be tougher as they go out. This is a critical point where those guys, those leaders in that locker room, like, listen, man, I need you to come in and make that play right there. I don't need you to blow them up. I just need you to get them on the ground so we can play the next down. So, hopefully that's a wake-up call. Hopefully they can learn from that. Hopefully it's a situation where it doesn't come up again, but we'll see.
You can't keep putting that on tape because just to be as blunt as you can, that looks soft. It does. Like there's nothing that you can do, and nobody in the National Football League likes to hear that word, especially on defense. I hate hearing it from a receiver, and we had the opportunity to be soft. We wanted to. Like that's one thing that we're not going to be is soft, right? So, like because I'm Q, I'm no exaggeration. I counted 7 times where a defensive back had an opportunity to make a play that they turned down. They turned it down. That's too many times. Like, or when I say turn down, it was a half effort at the legs when he was going past, when his body could have been on him. Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't.
Yeah.
and as we've been alluding to, in a couple of weeks, there's gonna be somebody that's gonna initiate that contact, whether you want to or not. So you might as well.
You might as well bow up now.
Get your mind right.
That big old, you better or pray that he don't make the game, because you're gonna be on it doing what you did this past week. You're gonna be on highlights. Highlights. Yeah. Oh man. All right, let's get to our favorite part of the show, one of our favorite parts of the show. All right. For stock market where you can invest in your favorite players. And invest in what you know. Turn your sports knowledge into real money with Mojo, the sports stock market. Real stats, real value. Shares entitle you to a guaranteed payout based on career ending stats. No off days, no off season. Share prices rise and fall constantly in real time based on career long projections. Cash out anytime, build a portfolio, buy and sell on your terms. Every play, every game, or every season. Mojo is available in New Jersey on iOS, and by just downloading the app, you have a chance to win up to $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Click the link in description for a chance to win $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Must be 21 years or older, physically located in New Jersey to trade on Mojo. Have a gambling problem? Help is available at 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's talk about the Eagles and their Mojo projections, the rise and fall on the sports stock market. Dallas Goedert is up plus 4.34%, 9 targets, 8 receptions, 100 yards. Huge gain. Do you think Dallas's production is going to continue to rise?
I think so, man. Later, it's getting to that mid-critical part of the season. We're facing 3 losing teams.
Yeah.
You know, the Commanders, the Colts, and the Eagles. I don't know much about their linebacker situation. I think any of those guys. I know Shaq. I forget his name for the Colts. What's his name? Linebacker Shaq Leonard is a pretty good linebacker. Not sure if he's injured. I think Dallas has a great game against him. So I think his number is going to go up, man. I like him. I like it. I like it. I'll take it.
All right, Gainwell up 4%, 4 carries, 22 yards, but he did have a touchdown. And, he's finding his way in the end zone the last few games. Gainwell is one of those guys that I think that you can get him for so low. You may want to wait a few games to get his numbers down really low. But he may be an intriguing player to take, because if Miles Sanders doesn't resign, they're going to ask him to do a lot more. So if you get him really low, and then he has any type of production next year,
it's a steal.
It's a steal. Sell it.
And then when he does come in the game, man, it's usually something exciting about to happen. So
yeah, that's good.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts is up. Quez was up with a few targets. Now let's just talk about around the league. We got some rises and fallers around the league. Who do you got for your rises and fallers around the league, Q?
All right. Let's look at some of the risers. We got.
Now give me your 2. Give me your 2.
This guy I really, really like coming out of LSU, Terrace Marshall Jr. I believe he's with the Panthers. He's up 21.61%. He had 6 targets, 3 receptions, 53 yards, and a touchdown. I think he's a phenomenal player. Love him coming out. His future is still sketchy. However, we got Baker Mayfield thrown to you, but we'll see what happens. Maybe get PJ Walker back in there. But I really like this kid. I really like him. What do you think?
I like it. I think that they're struggling. You don't have Robbie Anderson anymore, so you need him to step up and make plays. So you have a door open to become, a viable threat. DJ Moore's not getting the ball as much as he once did. So I think Terrace Marshall is on the clock to become one of the, their main targets. So they don't have much to play with down in Carolina. So Terrace Marshall is going to benefit from that. So, yeah. 21%, I think that's a lot. I think you may want to wait for him to have a bad game before you pick him up, but I definitely think he's rising.
Okay.
My riser will probably be Justin Fields. Justin Fields playing, extremely well. Gave them a fighting chance again this week. The Bears, some type of way with the really bad roster, is sticking in football games. And I think Justin Fields is a player of the future. So I think that if you can continue to, if you get him now when they give him more weapons, you'll be just fine.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. You want to talk about some of the fallers?
Well, let's just talk about 1 and 1.
Yeah, let's talk about one. Sam Ehlinger. Man, he's down 15.25%. He's 15 for 29, 103 yards, 1 interception. Coach just got fired. Jeff Saturday is now the new head coach. He was coaching high school football last week
and on ESPN.
And he's now the head coach.
All right, detour.
Definitely.
Mojo Reed, make sure you watch the player stock market up and down. Let's talk about this Jeff Saturday thing before we get to the Q&A part.
Oh, boy. Let's go to church.
All right. I'm not going to go too far into this Jeff Saturday thing. But how frustrating is this? It's a lot of dudes that have been waiting 15, 20, 30 years for an opportunity. It's guys that are qualified in your locker room, in your coaching, in the coaching locker room and on the coaching staff. This staff has what, Gus Bradley on it?
Gus Bradley, John Fox
on it. Like, I don't understand how this is even like plausible. Like, I don't understand. Like, the man's coaching high school football, and you trust him with the NFL team right away. Like, that just doesn't, like, I and many others, I know he's a center and has to know offense and stuff like that. I'm not saying he doesn't. But there's a learning curve. Me being a coach in the National Football League, there's a learning curve to every coach. Every coach. Usually, if you were a player and you want to decide coaching, you don't come in and become a coach. You become quality control. You become an assistant to an assistant. You become, a consultant, something along those lines. You don't just become the head coach. That's just such a slap in the face to the processes of so many other people that have been more qualified and on this journey for decades to become a head coach or have an opportunity to become a head coach. It's so beyond me and so disrespectful to so many people that it's like just think about, like, if you're Eric Bieniemy right now, like that's leading, a Kansas City Chiefs team in the run game there for so many years, and is now an offensive coordinator for one of the best offenses perennially for the past 5 years, 6 years, right?
Yep.
Think if you are Raheem Morris, who just won a Super Bowl and showed up in some of the biggest moments, who Mike Tomlin said, I don't know a better defensive coach in the National Football League.
Yep.
Just think if you are any one of those players, any one of those coaches, right? And not just the black coaches, any coach that's been around a long time. It's beyond me.
I agree 100%. It's, and
if it's favor, the guy loves him, so be it. Like, but at least work him in.
Yeah.
Work him in there. Like, but no, I'm just gonna go from St. Mary's to the Colts head coach.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm with you 100% on that too. But the other part too, the other side that a lot of people aren't really thinking about as well is, what about that locker room? I mean, you talk about guys that, this is their livelihood. This is how they feed their families. This is, all that they love to do. And, they go out each week and not to go to war like in the sense of actual war, but they come together to try to achieve a common goal, and that's to win a game. And you mean to tell me the best guy to lead this team after you fire the head coach is a guy that was coaching in high school the week before, right? So it's bad enough as it's a slap in the face to every coach in the league that ever got the opportunity. It's a slap in the face of every coach on that staff that has the credentials, the pedigree, and the ability to do the job. But it's also a slap in the face to the players in the locker room. So you're basically telling them that the rest of the season doesn't matter. And the way I'm looking at it, if I'm a player and they did this situation, I'm looking at it like, okay, that basically means you don't give a damn what happens to the rest of the season for us. Because how on earth can that breathe? How can on earth can you as an owner say, yeah, we want to win each week. I want you to go out there and give me your all. Oh, by the way, I'm going to hire this guy from a high school to come in and coach you guys. Like, to me, that's just a slap in the face to everybody involved. And it's one of the biggest, most confusing things I've ever seen in my life. And
So, and just think about this from let's think about this from a business perspective in corporate America. just follow me. All right. I have a master's degree. My master's degree is from Cal Berkeley, right? I'm a civil engineer or what have you. I've been on this job, trying to become the head civil engineer for the state of California for the past 20 years. I'm potentially next in line, a couple people in front of me in line. And I get word that a guy that doesn't have the experience or doesn't have the degree, but I have to train this guy to become the head civil engineer. Because Jeff Saturday doesn't know a play, doesn't know a protection that they're going to be running. You can't install new stuff in week 9. So somebody there is going to have to bring him up to speed on everything that's been going on in order for him to be effective at all. So now you're asking a person that has the pedigree, that has the degree, the credentials to train somebody that doesn't have the credentials for a job that you want to.
That's crazy, man.
And everybody, all of us as employees, we loathe that, right? When we have to go and train some person that just somebody's friend that stepped over you and you're more qualified for the position.
Crazy. That's exactly exactly what it is.
Yeah. So, but let's get to Q. Let's get to Q&A. Let's get to Q&A. Topic 3. All right. This is from Wes. Questions for Q. What can the defense do moving forward to improve their run defense? Also, was there certain running backs you hated tackling when they got going?
All right. So I mean, we touched on it. The biggest thing is tackling. And it's not even so much of technique and how to, it's more of want to. Those guys, and we highlighted it. Those guys in the back 7, at times you're gonna have to step up and make a tackle. You're gonna have to come up and do stuff that you probably don't want to do. It's gonna hurt a little bit, but you're gonna sacrifice your body for the team. So I think the biggest thing to me is, number one, they've got to get better at tackling in the secondary. A lot of the big runs have come off missed tackles. A lot of them have come in the secondary. So to me, they've got to get better at that. And the front, it's hard because the front's been doing so well. And I kind of highlighted it earlier. When you're in the 5-man front, it's very good against the run as long as those guys are strong and they play strong and they get off blocks. But the good and the bad with the 5-man front is if you don't get off your blocks and you get double teamed, that means you're going to have linemen climbing up to the second level very fast. You're going to have running backs in the secondary very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. So once that front five, if they're on point, it's a good day. If they're not on point, that means those back seven, they gotta get with it. All right. And there are gonna be games where they're not gonna get any pressure. In the secondary, you're gonna have to give some cover sacks. There's gonna be some games where, they're gonna be getting sacks all day and you ain't gonna get a chance to get them easy picks. So it's a give and take, and these guys gotta start to work together. And for the second question, thank you for the question, by the way, Wes. Second question is, who did I hate tackling? By far, he was the he was the probably the most. Yeah, I'll say he's the most hated running back that I ever tackled. But he was Brandon Jacobs from the Giants. Remember Brandon Jacobs?
Yeah.
From the Giants, number 27. He was like 6'3", 6'4", 250, 260. Back then he was fast and physical. He could run, he could catch the ball, he could catch it on screens, he could block. He was like the original Derrick Henry back in the day. He was good, man, and I hated tackling him. I hated playing him. I hated the Giants anyway. And he was always a load to bring down. And he ran physical. Him and Ahmad Bradshaw, I don't know if you remember him too, number 44.
Yeah, man,
those two as a tandem, man, they were tough. What's that?
I liked him, the way he ran.
Yeah, those two right there, man, they were tough, and they gave us fits every week. And so Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw, those are the two of the toughest that I hated. And we saw them 2 times a year, sometimes 3 times a year, got them in the playoffs. So that's definitely one.
I can't speak to that, but I'll get the next question for you. From Chris, if the Texans had a better O-line, would the outcome of the game be different with Pierce running the ball? If so, would Jordan Davis be the deciding factor in the Eagles beating the better O-lines? If the Texans had a better O-line, would the outcome of the game be different?
No, I don't think the game would have been different. I
don't think that their O-line played bad at all.
Yeah, I thought their O-line was actually good. I think their O-line played probably better than anyone against us. They're limited in what they can do offensively, especially with Cooks out. I mean, you can only run the ball so many times before you get behind, and you got to start throwing the ball. So I think they came out and they played well. I think Jordan Davis definitely would have helped, but I don't think they played bad. What do you think?
I don't think Jordan Davis would have. I think that he's definitely an upgrade for us in the run game because it's hard to move him when it comes to double teams. But the game plan was just better. Like we have 5 down linemen, right? In a 5-man front. Yep. You have 5 offensive linemen to block those 5. Oh, let me add 2 tight ends to the line of scrimmage in order to get our numbers there. Yep. And now I can be able to use some of my tight ends to block defensive linemen, and now I can get a guard or someone up to the second level. And that was the game plan. So I thought that their game plan was really good. Their run blocking game plan was excellent versus the Eagles. Yep. Passing wise, no, not so much. But I don't necessarily think that would have been a deciding factor at all. Jordan Davis, would he have helped us out? Yes, but would it have been, instead of 140 yards, it probably been 125. I just think that the scheme was better.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's another episode of the Q&A podcast. To all the fans, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for the questions. To Wes and Chris, thank you. Chris A, thank you for the questions. Make sure that you email your questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Follow us Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you to Jeff and to Adam and Tyler, Josh, to Mojo, Also, check us out. Check me out. Launch Trampoline Park, Deptford, New Jersey. Launch Trampoline Park, Deptford, New Jersey. Kick your kids' butt in all types of trampoline games. Dunk on them with slam ball, anything that you want. Launch Trampoline Park, Deptford, New Jersey. But thank you guys for tuning in, making this show a success. We want to just say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Q, you have the last word.
As always, man. Thank you, everyone. Jay, thank you. Love doing the show with you, man. It's always fun. And we'll see you guys next week.
Go Birds!